Texting, 817-654-0899er. Welcome to a, what do we call this? I just had it in my head. This is IDD, for those of you in the know. I don't disagree, for those of you just tuning for the first time. We are here. It is Sunday night here in the mid-sack. It was a balmy 85 degrees today. Got some yard work done. Mulched the front beds, mulched the tree, got a bush in the back, mulched, did some trimming of the hedges, if you will. After a scintillating Saturday night in the sack that had cocktails and music and who had the best makeover or redo of a song. I thought it was Social D on Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire, but I had some competition there. There were some good ones. The highly questionable one, flying solo tonight, Mr. Rizzo. The redoubtable one is unavoidably detained as his daughter turned sweet 16 today. Happy birthday there, baby girl. Not so baby girl anymore. 16 years old. Where is it? I mean, when we got here, she was 10. Yeah, she was 10. Now she's going for her license in September. Good Lord. Anyway, 16 years old. God bless her. So, yeah, he's doing the duty tonight, being the dad, because Mom took them to the drive-in to see the Spider-Verse, so he's home with the kiddos tonight. But the redoubtable one will return, I believe, hopefully tomorrow night, if not Tuesday. So I'm flying solo tonight, and this is the feel-good edition, boys and girls. Sunday nights are going to be the feel-good edition because football's around the corner, and we will probably be doing Sunday nights after a day of fantasy football, yelling and eating and drinking and all that good shit, which I'm sure most of America does anyway. So we will follow it up with a recap on as many Sundays as we can get Tom to do. I'll do them regardless of whether I'm alone or with him. Be nice to have him here. But Tom, he's great out of the gate, but he's not much for stamina. So we'll see if he can make it for those. But this will be the feel-good edition going forward on Sunday nights. So I'm flying solo night for a couple of reasons. One, the Red Sox concluded a 3-game set with the Yankees in the Bronx. Took 2 out of 3. Came from 2-1 down tonight to escape 3-2. The pitching held up tonight, and got some timely hitting on a key bunt there late, and Enrique Hernandez did something. First time in a while, really did something. So the Sox took 2 out of 3. Now look, the Judge didn't play in this series, and to me, if the Judge doesn't play in the Bronx, you got to take 2 out of 3 at least. So they did what I thought they should have done. Thought the Yankees would get 1 because they're still the Yankees. They've been playing well, and they were going to. I don't think the Sox were going to sweep them. But 2 out of 3 I thought was possible, and they got it. So kudos to them. They are back to 500 in the best division in all of baseball by far, the AL East. So, and the Yanks are coming up to Boston next weekend. So we'll see what happens the week ahead. But the main reason for tonight's recording, rather, is because tomorrow morning, DeAndre Hopkins is coming into Foxboro to visit the Patriots. I was told on this show last Wednesday by a certain clown who represents the Philadelphia fan base, one Joel Russell, who, and again, I get off the surface why he thinks what he thinks, but the reality is he doesn't do any homework on this stuff. He just throws it out thin air and throws it against the wall and see what sticks, which goes up a man like me up my ass, because everyone's entitled to their opinion. Joel's certainly entitled to his. But an opinion without any factual basis whatsoever is nothing more than an opinion. And it really doesn't have any merit. So I sat there on Wednesday, listened to him bloviate about how there's no chance in hell this guy even meets with them. Well, he's meeting with them tomorrow. Joel. Okay, so the Patriots have the most money really to give him. He does not want to play for $2 million a year. Joel. And whether Joel wants to admit this, and he's already admitted the Pats can probably have a top 5 defense this year. But what he refuses to accept is that when you have a top 5 defense, you're generally in contention, at least for a playoff spot, if nothing else. That's assuming, your offensive coordinator isn't Matt fucking Patricia, which he no longer is. So I'm on record as saying Matt Patricia cost this team at least 4 games last year with his bullshit. So at least 4 that I can remember. Okay, so he's gone. Obrien is literally the sun and the rain. This is that different. O'Brien's been a successful offensive coordinator everywhere he's gone. Not head coach, not GM, offensive coordinator. No one's asking him to run the Patriots. They're just asking him to take the talent they have on offense, which is pretty good. It's not great. It's pretty good. DeAndre Hopkins could make them great if they get him. And turn it into something formidable, like they were 2 years ago when they made the playoffs. Okay, they were something to, and again, they still didn't have a number 1 receiver then. They don't have a number 1 receiver now. Now, whether or not I think the Baylor burner can be that guy, Tyquan Thornton, the one I've been bloviating about since he got here, who's 6'2.5" for those of you scoring home and runs a 4.2 40. There are about 5 guys in the NFL that run a 4.2 40, maybe 5. He's one of them, and he's 6'2". So think of the cheetah, but at 6'2" and not 5'8", because that's what this kid potentially could be if they get him the ball or set him up to succeed, which I believe Obrien will do, because he did this before. When he had talent here before, he was a very successful coordinator with the Patriots. Yeah, okay, he had Tom Brady, but he also knew how to use these weapons. They had the late Aaron Hernandez, the tight end. They had Gronk. They had Edelman. This guy knew how to use what he had. Brandon LaFell, he knew how to use what he had. Okay, other guys like that. So Dawson, the one year he was here, the receiver who had a chance to be good, but he got hurt and his career ended. But he had one good year and he helped him win a Super Bowl. But Obrien is known as a very successful offensive coordinator who's innovative and gets the most out of his pieces. That's encouraging if you're a Patriots fan. However, I said this before the draft. Bill Belichick has 2 options here. He either drafts the number 1 in the draft, which he could have done, or he gets DeAndre Hopkins. I said that on this show before the draft. Okay, he either gets that guy in there, and there was a slew of them out there. He had his pick of the litter. He didn't take a shot. Or he brings in DeAndre Hopkins. If he does neither, then, again, this team is better. I still think he can win 11 to 12 games, but I don't really think they could get to the playoffs, but they won't go very far. If they are serious about trying to win a championship, they've got to get a number 1 receiver. They've got to get a guy that the opposing defense goes, we have to stop him. And we have to allocate 2 people to do it. Because if that takes place, now these other guys that are pretty good, from Juju Smith-Schuster to Devontae Parker when he's healthy, to Hunter Henry, okay, to the running back, Ramondre Stevenson, who's a 1,000-yard rusher. The Patriots have weapons, but they don't have the home run hitter. This guy is that dude. Okay? Now, look, he wants money. I get it. He's got 11,000 yards receiving. He's 3rd or 2nd in the NFL in yardage over the past 10 years. He's worth money, okay? And he's turning 31. He is 31. The Patriots got Randy Moss at 31, got 3 productive years out of him. I'm not saying he's Randy Moss, Joel, but here's the thing. He doesn't have to be Randy Moss. He just has to be a good number 1. And I believe with Obrien, who, by the way, he had his best years with in Texas. Whether you could talk about the relationship they didn't have all you want, what you can't argue with was the guy's production. He had 5 1,000-yard receivers. He made 3 All-Pro teams. He made the Pro. He performed well with Obrien there. Whether or not they had a relationship or not, I don't care. The numbers are the numbers, okay? And I think this time around, they'd be better because I think they've come to appreciate one another. Just he didn't have the numbers in Arizona that he had in Houston. They got to a playoff. They got bounced the one time they did. But he's only just 2-6 in the playoffs. Enter Bill Belichick, who's been to the playoffs, who's got rings. Enter Robert Kraft, who's an owner who's willing to spend the money to get this team to the promised land. He's done it before. And I forget who the guy is who broke this story this morning. But this sounds like Robert Kraft stepped in and went, look, you get this son of a bitch in town, and we're going to meet with him, and we're going to do what we have to do to get him. Because I think Robert Kraft knows what I know, what every other. He has a pulse of this fan base. This fan base is getting antsy because Tom Brady's been gone for 3 years now, and it was all Belichick and not Brady. That's over with. That ship is sailed. The writing is on the wall. Right now, we know for a fact it was more Brady than Belichick. Belichick right now has to change that narrative. The only way he's going to do that, boys and girls, is to win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady. Anything short of a Super Bowl, and he will go down as the guy who had Tom Brady, not the greatest coach of all time. And I won't, not as long as I have a microphone in front of me, I will sit there and tell you he's not the greatest coach of all time. Right now, the greatest coach of all time in my book is Joe Gibbs, who won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Let me say that again for the stupid people. He won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks in an 8-year span. Joe Gibbs. No one else has done that. And Bill Belichick without Tom Brady, let me remind you, Bill Belichick scrotum scrubbers again. He is 77-87 and 1 measly playoff win, which came against Parcells and Bledsoe in 91 in Cleveland. It was a home game. That was it. That's his record without Tom Brady. That's not even Jeff Fisher status. And that's a 10-year sample size. 77-87 is a 10-year sample size. That tells me he's mediocre without Tom Brady. It's not a 1 or 2 years. It's a 10-year sample size. Most coaches don't get 10 years in the NFL. The bad ones don't. And he's mediocre right now at best. He has to change the narrative. The only way he's going to do that is to win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady. Then you can sit there and tell me, and I'll actually listen, that he's the greatest coach of all time. Then you could say he won a championship without Brady. Okay, that's fair. I'll listen to that. But until that happens, you got nothing to say to me. You got nothing to say to me, okay? And he didn't get the receiver in the draft, the number one in the draft. So DeAndre Hopkins is coming in tomorrow. I would strongly advise, barring he can't pass a physical and he physically can't play, he doesn't leave Foxboro without a contract. Okay? The Titans are the only other one that can offer him comparable money. He's worked. Vrabel was an assistant down there. He has a relationship with Vrabel. That's something he said. But the Titans are nowhere near a title. You can talk about Derrick Henry all you want. They're nowhere near. Their quarterback sucks. No one's going to tell me Ryan Tannehill is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He is not. He wasn't when he had A.J. Brown. They couldn't win the Super Bowl. They couldn't get to the Super Bowl when they had weapons around him. So no one's telling me that Ryan Tannehill is any other than an average quarterback. Mac Jones has a chance to be very above average. Okay, last year does not count. Last year does not count. Okay, you cannot judge him on two facts. One, Matt Patricia was his coordinator. Two, he didn't have a number one receiver. You can't pass judgment on this kid yet. You cannot. So let's see what he had. He has a real coordinator now. I always thought Obrien was better than Josh McDaniels. So I think he's better than I always thought he was. So he's got a real coordinator now in my book. Now get him the number one receiver that every great quarterback seems to have, because they do. Every great quarterback in this league had a number one. Whether it's a wide or a tight end, they had a number one target that defenses had to double team, because that's the definition of a number one. A number one guy is a guy that your opponent can't leave by himself, unless they have the number one cornerback, shutdown corner in the league. That's the only time you even take a gamble on it. That's the only time you even gamble it, okay? But you need that dude, and they don't have that dude. Now, again, whether or not Tyquan Thornton could be that dude one day, maybe he can. But I know this, DeAndre Hopkins is that dude right now. If he is on the Patriots this year, they're a contender for the Super Bowl right now. In that division, they're a contender for the Super Bowl right now if they get him. I care what you tell me, okay? Because I still believe Belichick can coach. I know that he's a good GM, but I think he can coach. I've been on record as saying that, okay? And I think Robert Kraft is the main reason this is happening. And kudos to him for stepping in and doing something, because honestly, this team was in Mediocresville and it was stuck there, okay? And again, I still think this year I thought they were going to be good. 11 and 12 wins is good. That doesn't mean they're a serious Super Bowl contender. You get DeAndre Hopkins, they're a serious Super Bowl contender. I don't give a damn what Joe Russell says. Joe Russell has proven time and time again he doesn't know his ass from his elbow about sports. Okay, sports, not. Well, he might know soccer. Well, let me tell you, he might know soccer. I'll give him soccer. Okay, but the other shit he talks about, no. So, and where he says the Pats have no chance of signing this guy, the fact that he's in town, they have a chance. I'm not saying they're going to sign him. I don't know if they're going to sign him, but the fact that he's visiting, they have a chance. And it's not a snowball's chance in hell, because again, they have the best deal. They can offer him probably the most money, and they have the best defense out there. They're top 10. They were top 10 defense last year. They're top 5 with this cornerback now. They're probably top 5. This kid's what people say he is, what all the experts say he is. They've got to shut down number one corner now to go with 2 pass rushers on the edge who both had 11 and more plus sacks. One had 14, one had 11. They got 2 guys who can get to the quarterback on either side. Now you get a shutdown corner out there. Things get very interesting in Foxboro if DeAndre Hopkins shows up. So pretty pleased with sugar on top, Robert Kraft. Make this fucking deal happen for the sake of Bill and his legacy. Because if this guy's in the building, he's got a chance to do something about that. Okay, I don't believe without a number one receiver you can win a Super Bowl in this day and age. Even the Patriots, when they look, Deion Branch wasn't a number one receiver anywhere else, but he was in New England because of Tom Brady. Okay, Troy Brown wasn't a number one receiver anywhere else, but they won 3 Super Bowls with guys like that. But Tom Brady ain't here anymore. Mac Jones forever is not Tom Brady. Don't get that out of your head. But he doesn't have to be Tom Brady to win a Super Bowl or Super Bowls. Okay? He just has to be good enough. And I believe if you get this kid a number one receiver and a good coordinator, which I now believe they have, and that defense is legit, they've got a running game, they've got 2 tight ends now that I think Obrien will know how to use. Hunter Henry is a decent tight end. I think the kid from Miami, Gesicki, is a decent tight end. They've got good players on the perimeter. But they need that guy, that home run, that dude, that the opponent has to go, we have to double him. We can't leave him one-on-one. If it's a 50-50 ball, he's going to get it 90% of the time. And that's what Hopkins, right now, barring a physical, says he can't do it no more. That's what he is. So let's see what happens. I know The Obrien thing is looming over this, but he apparently, based on what I've read, the write-ups on this, was all in on getting this guy in the building. Okay, the report I read this morning, which I believe I still have on my phone, which came from, who was it? It was, do I still have it? It wasn't Mike Reese, but he was talking about would he be a good fit. It wasn't him. It was another guy. I have the story. I posted that. What this guy said was basically that, let me give you the first line of this, just to give you a hint as to, it's by Steve Atkinson. This is the guy who broke the story today about this. DeAndre Hopkins is about to make his free visit to New England this week. Let me tell you right now, this is a complete Robert Kraft and Bill Obrien move. Okay? Someone who works in that, this is all Robert Kraft and Bill Obrien move. Okay? Kraft will pay Hopkins whatever it takes to get Mac Jones, the number one receiver, to compete in a tough AFC East. Allen has Diggs. Tua has Hill. The Jets just got Aaron Rodgers to go with that rookie who broke all of Keyshawn's records. The Patriots are a decent team now, but with Hopkins, it could put them over the top. Okay? He has experience with Obrien in Houston, and Obrien is open to bringing Hopkins in to help Mac Jones. So there you have it. Okay? Bill Obrien is on board. And if I'm Hopkins, I have to ask myself one question. If Bill Belichick, who many consider the greatest coach of all time, is the one calling the shots and not Obrien, and they're going to offer me around the money I want, or can get me the closest, and I have a top 5 defense, and we have a running back, and we have a quarterback who's already been to a Pro Bowl, and he's in his 3rd year. Why wouldn't I do this? Why wouldn't I sign a 3-year deal with this team? Because I can grow with this kid. This kid's going to lean on me. He's a rookie. He's a young player. He's going to look to me. I'm going to get my touches. And I'm not going to have to do everything because they've got talent around me. They've got a defense that can keep us in games. I've got a coach that can out-coach anybody in this league if he has equal talent, because Belichick has proven he can do that. Why wouldn't I do this? Because Obrien and I weren't buddy back in Houston half a decade ago. That's no reason for anything. That's a joke, okay? Or do I go to Buffalo for $1 million a year and pray to God I can get out of this division when their defense doesn't look like it's as good as it was last year? Josh Allen is one hit away. They lean into him too much. And they've proven that they can't get it done. They're a good team, but they've never been able to quite get over the top. Kansas City, $1 million a year, $2 million a year. 1-year deal. I mean, I get the whole Mahomes thing, but that division, now that Sean Payton's coaching Denver, is also loaded. You've got the Raiders there, the Chargers. I mean, the Raiders are going to be better. They can't be any worse. So, again, that division, I don't know if it's as tough as the AFC East, top to bottom, but if you look at those coaches, none of them are as good as Bill Belichick. They are. On paper, they're not. So Belichick has a winning record against Andy Reid. So, I mean, for whether you like it or not. I mean, so he's beat him in a Super Bowl. He's beat him in an AFC title game. He's beat him head-to-head. And New England has a better rushing attack than KC. New England has a better defense than KC. The difference is KC has Mahomes and Kelsey. New England doesn't have a Kelsey, a number 1 out there anywhere. But we did pluck Juju Smith-Schuster from them, which is going to hurt them a little bit. So, I don't know. But the Pats can offer him more money and more years and a better coach and a better owner. The weather's the weather. The weather sucks in KC in the wintertime. The weather sucks in Foxboro. But that can play to your advantage. And he's already played in good weather and got nowhere. He's played in Houston. He's played in Arizona. He can get anywhere near a Super Bowl. So don't pin this on weather. Okay? So that's got nothing to do with it. It's about money, a foundation, stability, a good owner, a good coach. The Pats have all those things. They have all those things. A good defense. The Pats have all those things. And they have the money where the other teams don't. And after what the problem is, after what Odell Beckham Jr. got, okay, and he was coming off an injury. Hopkins was suspended for the the gambling, whatever he did. But anyway, just looking at that real quick, if you go to the, he went with the he went with, who signed him? Baltimore, the Ravens, right? So if you look at the Ravens roster, right, and the Ravens are going to be better too, by the way. That AFC North's going to be no joke. I'll tell you, the AFC in general is loaded this year. And we thought it was loaded last year. It might be better this year. I think it will be. But if you look at the roster, where is he? He's 30 years old. He's 30 years old, Odell Beckham Jr. So this guy just turned 31, or will, before the season starts. To me, this is it's a common sense thing. If I want all these things, and there's only one team out there that can offer me all these things, because there really is only one team that can offer me all those things. It's the Patriots. If we're checking off, you guys don't talk about the quarterbacks he'd like to play with. It's because he doesn't know Mac Jones. That's because he wouldn't like to play with him. He doesn't know him yet. Okay, so. But what he should know is the kid made the Pro Bowl as a rookie. Whether it was an alternate or not, Tom, I don't care. He was second to some guy in Cincinnati, some receiver there named Jamar Chase, to Rookie of the Year. He was second in the voting. That's how good a year he had. He only got beat up by Jamar Chase, who broke records as a rookie. So, and Matt Patricia does not count. Matt Patricia does not count anyway. You cannot count last year on Mac Jones. He got hurt early on in the season, and Matt Patricia never got out of his own way. And if you doubt that, or it was what you look at what he did to Goff in Detroit, and look at what Goff was like the year after this clown got out of the building. Matt Patricia doesn't belong anywhere near an NFL football team. I can't believe Philly did that. He better be as I said on the show last week, he better not be near a chalkboard. He better not be a whiteboard. He better not be in the film room. He better not be in the box calling plays. He better be nowhere in that stadium except the hot dog stand. That's it. If he's anywhere else, Joel, your Eagles are in trouble. And you're praying right now that he's not going to be anywhere because, well, you can sit there and talk about the title. You don't know what that means. Nobody knows what that means, okay? But in any event, he's in Foxboro in the morning. We'll see how that visit goes. It sounds like Robert Kraft is prepared to do whatever he has to do to sign this guy. Okay. Let's see what that yields. But I wouldn't let him get out of the building. I would make him, you got to pull the Godfather here. Make him an offer he can't refuse. If that's incentives, if that guaranteed money up front, make him an offer he can't refuse and get Mac Jones, the coveted number one that every great quarterback seems to have, not named Brady. Because Brady won 3 Super Bowls without a true number one. He's the only guy I've ever seen really do that. He really is the only guy I've ever really seen do that in my lifetime. So without a true number one, he's the only quarterback I've seen win multiple Super Bowls. I'm not going to get lucky once. He did it 3 times. Okay, because Deion Branch and Troy Brown aren't making anybody's Hall of Fame list. They were the number ones in those years. And I like them both. I love them both. But they're not what I would call number one receivers. So, amen. That's segment 1. I'm going to come back segment 2. Talk a little baseball. Red Sox took 2 out of 3 for the Yankees. We will dabble into the French Open final where Djokovic passed Nadal with majors 23 out of 22 in a race that more people should be paying attention to. Because this is one of the greatest rivalries I've seen in all sports in my lifetime, and no one's talking about it. Probably because there's an American in the race, and that's pathetic, because these guys are phenomenal tennis players. And I will make my case for Jokic right now as the GOAT, because after what he did today, there really isn't much of an argument against him, and there really can't be one made. Now, it's still to be written, because I don't think Nadal's retired yet. Federer's gone, unfortunately. But there's some interesting stats on Jokic against those guys head-to-head, which is kind of eye-opening when you think about how he's done this and some of the things he has done. But we'll talk about the Red Sox and him in segment 2. You guys grab a nice frosty beverage. It is a feel-good edition here on Sunday night in the sack, a sweltering sack, because it's 11:30 here in the East, and it's still 75 degrees. Not bad. I'll take it. Not too bad. We will see you guys on the other side in just a few minutes. If I can unstick this mouse.